talking about peace during a storm. I remember I watched this movie once a long time ago about a hurricane, and this hurricane, or is it tornado, just went through the city or this little town and just destroyed everything. Everybody in that city was panicking. In a similar fashion, Jesus was on a boat with his disciples and he was asleep. And suddenly there was a storm at sea, and it seemed like everything was going to just be torn to pieces. There was water, going into the boat, and his disciples were running up and down. And they came to Jesus and said, Jesus, don't you care? We're about to drown here. And what was Jesus' response? So when the disciples came to Jesus, they shook him, and I'm not saying they shook him like physically, but they probably did. And he was like, Jesus, aren't you aware that there's a storm going on around us? And Jesus did something. He rose up and he spoke to the storm and everything calmed down. But that's not the point I'm making here. The point was that Jesus was actually in the boat with them, even though he was sleeping. And as far and as long as he was in that boat with them, nothing was going to happen that would destroy them. Now, there's a portion in the scripture, Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2, paraphrasing now. God says something there about you and I when we're going through a storm. He said, when you're going through, paraphrasing now, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. The waters will not overflow you. When you pass through the fire, it will not burn you. So the point that God is making here to you and I is this, that Jesus is with you and I in the storm. It might seem like he's not there, but he actually is. And what does he want us to do? He wants us to experience perfect peace and to be at rest, to know that as you're going through whatever fire, whatever storm it is that you're going through, Jesus is right there with you. And he has said he will never leave you and he will never forsake you. So anytime you're going through a storm, anytime you're not quite sure about what's going on around you, remember that as a believer, Jesus is right there with you, and he will not leave you and he will not forsake you. And you can just calm down and let your heart be at rest, let your heart be at peace, because of this knowledge that Jesus is always with you and I.